So you can put it, so this will be what's up on this screen. And I'm obviously showing now, but the presenter should be able to be seen. So
Yeah.
is that true? Okay.
Yeah, you'll be the presenter will be a square.
Perfect. That's exactly what you want. How about now? Still works?
Yeah.
In full screen?
Mhm.
Okay. You're all set. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to touch anything. I'm just saying what I'm telling you, what I am telling you, what my experience is.
Quickly coming to this ellipse. It'll be a formal lawn. We're going to preserve some of the sugar maples that line Magnolia Hall in this ellipse. We think those sugar maples were planted sometime in the 90s. So they're not too terribly historic, but they do add some charm to the property. And we feel with some pruning and limbing them up and open up some view corridors, that they would be a nice asset to the community and the Magnolia Hall as well. We're proposing to relocate the old iron gates that are up on the street of Boyd Mill into this ellipse, and then preserving a portion of the old historic gravel lane as a pedestrian corridor down the center axis, all the way leading up to Magnolia Hall. As I mentioned, 12 custom home sites. Oops. Chelsea, I pushed the button.
Can we turn the Zoom sound at your account on so that they can hear better?
Thank you.
I'm going to turn mine
I'm going
off.
to turn yours off. We're good? Okay. The 12 custom home sites, each of those will be designed site specific. All of this will be designed collectively, and all those homes will go back to Historic Zoning Commission for approval on every structure that's in here. We are showing in the plan a limited amount of parallel parking and a redevelopment or redo of the streetscape along this portion here to provide some on-street parking for these 4 homes that front Boyd Mill. We'll redo a sidewalk on this side, and then we'll do an edge treatment along the Boyd Mill Avenue streetscape, as well as the glass lane where we can implement some edging based on vegetation. And that edging is primarily going to be a 4-rail horse fence, kind of similar to what's out there now to carry on the rural pastoral feel of this end of Boyd Mill Avenue. Some folks have mentioned earlier before we got in the meeting, there is an emergency access that's shown via an existing easement that this property has through the city's property up to the new Boyd Mill area here. That'll just be a emergency with a on that in case of an emergency. Emergency vehicles can egress that way. We can come back to this plan as we finish up and answer questions and address any other components. Got just a sample of architectural renderings or home sites. The kind of just depicting what the massing will look like. These are going to be period correct architecture, using Mike's language here. There'll be cottages. Bernie is committed, and we'll have on the plans that there will be nothing more than a story and a half for any of the new home sites. And so we can not have anything that over towers historic Magnolia Hall. It'll still be the prominent feature. We can jump back here later if we need to. This was the earlier plan that we presented to the neighbors back when we went through the Envision Franklin application that we've revised quite a bit since then. Process for what we have upcoming in front of us for the project. We had an Envision Franklin amendment that allowed for us to move forward with this development plan. We worked on last year, and we received approval at Planning Commission December 10th of last year. That triggered the next opportunity to get before Historic Zoning Commission. We had to present this plan to them for recommendation, and we received a favorable recommendation on the concept plan on June 14th. Brings us to our meeting this evening, and then we're going to submit our development plan application on Monday for a targeted public hearing and Planning Commission meeting on September 23rd, and then that will be followed. It's kind of documenting, we'll get our staff report back on September 15th. That'll be available online as well to the community. And then that public hearing will be on July 23rd, September 23rd. Go back to the plan here. That's kind of it for the presentation. The overview, we're certainly open to answer any questions or respond to any comments. Yes.
What is the estimated size of each of the homes?
Ernie.
The footprint of each of them, ballpark?
I believe that the first story, the ground level will be 3,000 to 3,500 feet. And then the upstairs will be a couple of bedrooms with a couple of baths, so maybe 1,000. So I'd say 4,000 to 4,200 feet will be the kind of the standard size. I think the ones over maybe that kind of overlook the lake, maybe a little bigger than that, but probably 4,000 to 4,500 feet is the number.
And just going to be
Public street. So people can come in and see Magnolia Hall and drive
what
in.
is happening with the historic building? What is happening with Magnolia Hall at this point? Do you have control of Magnolia Hall or?
Now, I have control of Magnolia Hall. So the whole scheme, if I can title it that, the scheme of all of this was to find a way to strip some of the costs that Ann needed out of Magnolia Hall. Because part of the problem is, you know, if in a perfect environment, the city would own Magnolia Hall and it would be a Carnton. I mean, if I'm just Bernie's little, I'm sorry.
I want to see your face.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's gonna be good. The Bernie's perfect plan would be that the city owned it and it would be a public thing. And it would be all just whatever it is. Obviously, that's not gonna happen. Second thing would be that somebody bought it that would invest in it and keep it up and do it right. Well, at the level that what it cost, and then for somebody to come in and spend $2 or $3 million on it, nobody's willing to bite that apple. And so the only real keep it not, I mean, you live in an old home, but you know what it's like. So the opportunity here is basically strip that cost out of what it's going to cost a Mel Thompson, for lack of a better word, person to buy Magnolia Hall and then to redo it, to invest in it. And so my hope is that through this process that I find that person that really wants to live there and do that, and that I don't have to come in and redo it. But if I have to, I will. But the intent here is for it to be a home that a person lives in. I mean, it's going to be an incredible estate. It's sitting in the same footprint overlooking the lake. And so it's going to be, you know, a really special spot. But for somebody to really bite that apple, they're going to want to get it for less than what it is. And so that's what I'm hoping to do.
So you would carve that out and sell that for the whole seven.
I would to a primary user, the primary owner that would live there, owner occupied. No, we're actually going to take this stone house that's this right here. This is a really cool carriage house structure, but it's fallen in on itself. And so we want to take that and then create a little landscaped area in front of it, not with a fountain like the brownstones, but something kind of formal, kind of place to meet and gather and all that stuff. And so that would be kind of a community little house. Yeah.
Ernie, Damon Rogers, I'm at 431 Boydville Avenue, and you and I do know each other quite well. I did not realize this was going to be a question time. I thought I was coming for the planning commission. So
I'm sorry.
Had prepared some remarks. I'm sure there's some questions in here. And if you will allow me to read the things that I have prepared on some concerns that I have, as well as some of my Boydville neighbors that have talked to me. If you'll grant me permission.
That's fine with me.
Okay. First of all, we're thrilled for Ann. I'm thrilled that she is selling this place. It's been on the market on and on for so many years that we thank you for doing what's best for Ann. Because she's
Special lady.
Since 1965 as being a valuable piece of Tennessee's architectural history. And we would like to see homes that go in there to be of the same caliber of home as that. Growth in a great community such as ours is inevitable. But envision Franklin plan lays out the roadmap for how to manage it. We can't lose sight of that, or we sacrifice quality of life and lose what makes us unique and special. Everybody wants to move to Franklin.
Seems like it.
Envision Franklin suggested 7 homes. I know that's just a suggestion. 7 homes total on this exquisite property. And after they were spoke, in keeping it within the scope of 7 homes, we see a plat for 12 homes with Magnolia Hall being the 13th. I ask that to be respectful of property for only 8 homes to be built and not the 12. I can honestly say that these homes are not going to be built for me, for my children, and probably not for my grandchildren. These homes are going to be built for those people that are wanting to come to Franklin, Tennessee. These people who live in high-income real estate states. That's who's going to buy these homes. People that may be downsizing would love to come in and have a smaller home and get up to 20-acre, 40-acre, 400-acre farm. But I can promise you that I believe those people that are coming in wanting what we have in Franklin, they will pay the extra money for to not live in a subdivision-like community. Otherwise, why not just go to West Haven? They want to live downtown. Everybody does. They don't want to live in a subdivision-like community with curbs and gutters and alleyways and all this asphalt that will go in like a subdivision. What they want is a higher rate of amenities. I encourage you to go for the big money, to get the big money from those people that are moving in from out of state, to honor Magnolia Hall with limited curbs and gutters, concrete, and an abundance of asphalt. Give them front and side yard. Free space throughout the property. Not 12. And make the property so exceptional with brick sidewalks, cobblestone streets, ample off-street parking, not on Boyd Mill, within their community. I don't want parking on Boyd Mill. Bring it to them. Add some area of parking inside this little fancy community that you're going to be building. That will be as much of a show palace as Magnolia Hall. I'm asking that you not only respect Magnolia Hall, but to please respect the input of the Boyd Mill members. That's it.
You're welcome. Thank you for the care. Some of you don't know me in this room. Many of you do. But what is 100% true, I've been doing this for 20 years in this town. Nobody cares more than I do about the people in this place and this place, this special place that we live. And so there's this juxtaposition that exists between trying to create something that's unique and special and honors this place, and while at the same time figuring out a way to make it work. If this was Bernie's little dream thing, this thing there wouldn't be anything but, the crushed driveway. I mean, there wouldn't be asphalt or a curb or anything in the place. It would maintain the whole rural character of Magnolia Hall. I mean, if Mary and I had our way relative to what we would create at Magnolia Hall, it would be different than this. But the fact is, with the city and the planning and fire and all of these nuances, I'm calling them nuances. I don't mean that bad for any city people, but there are these practicalities that Jason and Mike and I have to deal with that feel incredibly dumb, but force us to do it. And so one of these things that we're doing on this is, you notice there's no sidewalks around Magnolia Hall. And so we're keeping the area right around Magnolia Hall as that kind of place. Unfortunately, I can't do it everywhere else.
That will require modification standards. We're requesting modification standards to eliminate sidewalks on the interior portions along Magnolia Hall. We're going to request some modification standards not to have to do sidewalks on Glass Lane. And modifications of standards for streets. Yeah, for the alternative streets. There's probably going to be, even with our request for modification standards, probably going to be a condition for us to have the road that runs in front of lot 2. There'll probably be a condition for us to have that tie into Glass Lane anyway. Just based on street regulations, and we're requesting not to make that connection, but it'll be a vote through planning commission.
So we're trying, we're 100% trying. And I hear you. I mean, because these two guys that have been working with me on this for 24 months, when we started the process, what I told them, Damon, was they asked how many lots did I want? I said, whatever perfect is. They said, well, what is, I said, you give me perfect. If you create perfect for me, the numbers will work. I never said I need these number of lots, whatever. What I'm trying to create at Magnolia Hall is an incredibly special place. And so that every lot, these lots are a lot bigger than Benelli Park. So these are not postage stamp lots.
Yeah, I would say the average lot size in West Haven, the alley loaded lots, most of those are 40, and there may be some 35-foot wide lots. Most of those are 40 to 45 feet wide, 120 feet deep. The lots that are lots 3, 4, actually 2 through 6, 2 through 8, those lots are on average 75 to 85 feet wide, about 100 feet deep. Yeah, about a quarter acre. About a push, probably near a quarter acre. About a quarter acre. Lots 10 through 13. They're all 105, 110 feet wide, and about 110 to 150 feet, 115 feet deep.
Quarter acre or half acre?
They're about 75 or 80 feet wide.
80 by 130.
So is that quarter acre?
I have to do the math.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, close.
And so each of the, what size house, and how much footprint in the house?
About 3,000 feet
So is that-
plus garage.
So what size, how much?
The-
Green space.
Green space on either side of it?
The
How much green space does that mean?
So the houses you see on the plan, they're just representational showing massing. And we scrutinize that, trying not, I think intuitively, when you have a big lot, you just start maxing it out, you're building things out, and you kind of draw these houses, and the next thing you know, we're looking at, these houses were 9,000 square feet on the ground level when we were sketching. So we worked and worked and worked. So these are representing probably about a 3,000 square foot main level of the home on here. And that kind of shows you how they sit inside these lots. They're not gonna be pushing the edges.
And these are all porches. These are front wraparound porches. So every one of these houses has 11-foot deep porches. 11 feet, not West Haven deep, which, you know, you put a chair on and your feet are on top of the baluster.
Yeah, but you wrong.
But I mean, but real porches, you know? So we're trying to create a historically relevant little community around Magnolia Hall. Sure.
Question I have is, I am in Franklin.
We welcome you. Thank you.
I lived in a community where I lived in Nashville, and I lived in I'm actually a Lexington farm girl, Lexington. But the concern I have, and I really like all this, I love this town, I think it's beautiful. All this store.
These people. These two people right here. Yeah. Yeah.
But one of the things that I talked to Megan about is that
being new here is that I saw this going up and I'm just wondering because I lived in Nashville and two things I was concerned about water. One, because I've been in floods before, just had a lot of flooding just recently here. And then the Nashville, we had I was right across the street from, and I've actually been involved in development before, right across the street from the development. And so I know that developing can cut costs, change drainage, elevation issues again. And this Boyd Mill, I saw these 4 houses, and then that part of Boyd Mill is right across from multi-house, housing right across the street. And I don't know when that was built, but I don't know, it's the 70s or 80s.
70s probably.
So I don't know when that drainage was put in, but so where I live, there was a lot, and they put in the developer did nice homes, but they put in 6 houses, very nice homes, on a lot that had been one house before. And it just so happened that it was right across the street from my house, and it changed the drainage, and so it affected my house, my yard, and my garage was flooded. So I was affected by that. It cost me around $20,000 to fix.
Dang.
Drainage issue. So I don't know about, I don't know if this drainage, I know people kind of up on the hill, and I don't know about the trash, wonder about the drainage, and if there was drainage.
It's all going down here around Damon's house.
Well, I can tell you a story about it.
I was just worried about, I was wondering about the drainage issue. And it would cover that once
You see this guy right here in this chair right here?
Yeah.
They, all, and what I can communicate to you relative to the city of Franklin, so now that I've badmouthed planning, is it's never been harder to create a development than it is today. And part of the reason for that is all the things you're talking about. So taking into consideration everything, where's the water going? There'll be rain gardens in this development. I think Adam's showing, I think 3 or 4 rain gardens in this development where anything the water that hits the ground goes in and it's filtered. I mean, so there's just this nth degree of effort to basically have a 0 impact to any, for sure, neighbors, but importantly, you know, this is this pond, as scummy as it looks right now, is really where the creek starts. It comes through behind these houses back through here that goes down to the cottages and the fire station. I don't know what the name of that creek is, but
Reed Hill Branch.
Reed Hill Branch or something like that. So
Big leak.
do what?
It's got a big leak.
Big what?
Leak.
Leak, what does?
It's down 4 feet.
Oh, yeah, the lake is, we were there today, yeah. The lake.
So
My
if
dad.
you're gonna flood, it's flood,
If-
No, wait. Not very- it's very- I'm sorry, I take that. Clean without any ductwork.
Well, the idea here is that there's, you know, you weren't here, we were talking earlier about, sorry, people,
Thanks, Deb.
I'm sorry.
You're a mover.
Sorry. We were talking earlier, and part of the intent of this development is that all these houses, all of the exterior maintenance, everything would be done under the HOA agreement for the whole thing, just like the Brownstones, just like Arlington, so that the people who live here don't have to do anything outside. And so they're going to invest in this stuff in monthly fees to keep all this stuff out, so that all this area is taken care of by one person, me.
The exterior of their homes themselves.
Not the exterior of the homes themselves, the exterior of the grounds.
Okay, so it's just a normal HOA.
Well, but including their yard.
You're gonna cut their grass.
We're going to cut their grass, and the landscaping, how the landscaping looks around every one of these houses is going to be,
I could never.
I know you couldn't.
We like our yards.
We have a question.
Hey, we have a question online, Emily says.
This just says, what price points are they targeting for the hall as well as the surrounding new construction price?
We're not targeting any price because if I've learned anything through in the last case, Arlington, you know, I have no idea what the price is going to be. But what I know is my intent is to deliver perfect, and then I'm going to charge for perfect. So, and I believe there'll be 12 people that want to pay it for perfect. But what I've learned is it better dang well be.
Well, I know Bernie, I've worked with all you guys, and I feel like this is a flagship property of Franklin. And to hear things, well, I personally, when I look at the plan, if it had 2 less houses, I could see how all the properties could bow to the Queen, Magnolia Hall. It's not doing that.
In your opinion,
Huh?
in your opinion, which
In my opinion.
which by the way, as you know,
In my opinion.
nobody loves more than
Just in my opinion.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's my opinion.
yeah.
And I think saying things like, I know how hard I fought at Breezeway, which turned out to be a kind of a good story and a sad story. It's a historic home off. And getting rid of the sidewalk around there was a war. And the houses going up to it do not respect that property. And when I hear things like, well, we'd like to do this, but the city won't let us, well, I feel like, well, let's try.
I'm game.
Franklin is an extraordinary place. It's taken a lot of everybody, some, in this room, who've been here a long time, to make it work. I just don't, I don't think this plan is perfect, Bernie. I think that there is more that could be done, and I would just like to be a voice for that happening, because it's in the front yard, a flagship property. We can't do it at one time.
Right, 100% agree.
So, and I think policy, I thought I heard the word that the houses were cottages. Well, I don't think that's a good word to use for this project. They're not cottages.
Well,
So, I mean, that's not my description.
what would you describe them? How would you?
I would call it large homes.
Well, that's what they call cottages.
No, I mean they're cottage. I mean,
I just never cottage, Franklin, and I think of, some of the houses on Second Avenue and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
I agree with Mary Bernie, so you have another second opinion along with what David said, third opinion. I think you could make, I mean, that place has been for sale since I've lived here, which has been 93. So I'm happy for him as well, I understand. But you're gonna get your money. You will make your money, and it'll be extra special. And use your word perfect. To have to be more burdened and to really give a little bit of shared green space. And it's 2 houses. Mary said she could live in 2 houses, and I would add to that. And you're right. I do live in a historic house. My house looks like a phone booth. This is so spectacular.
well, and people that very few people know how spectacular it is. We know. You know. Well, I'm talking about the front. Nobody knows what the front looks like. No, nobody knows. No. I mean,
It's really the birthplace of historic.
well, Mark, because
And it's
Good.
also a gateway into Franklin. So it's not a big-
100%. So
And
yeah.
you're the right person to do it, Bernie. You are. We just need to tweak. Just tweak.
Well, I've been tweaking for 24 months. 24 months. I've been paying Ann for the opportunity to try to fix this problem. And I'm at this point, and if y'all know one thing about me, I'm not a money person. I've never been about the money in my whole life. I care about things to be perfect. I want things to be awesome. I care about the people that live in there. I've chased off 4 people from the Arlington that want to pay me $4 million for one of those things because they weren't nice people. I'm trying to make sure the people that live here are awesome people. And so, but at some point you got to fish and cut bait, and you got to try to execute something that, and if I thought for 1 second that this wasn't going to be fantastic, I promise I would stop. I promise I would stop. Because I have stopped. I have literally not allowed us to be able to go to the next step for over a year, trying to figure this out. We were changing the way the street could go so that I can save one more unbelievable tree. So, I mean, literally, I promise you guys that, you know, regardless of whether I can get it approved, it matters to me how you feel about what's going on out there, and that we feel like we're doing this together. And so, and even if there's little nuances of it that, you know, you would do different or you would do different, that, you know, by golly, it's going to be fantastic. And I wish that it wasn't 12 houses. I wish that it was just the unbelievable house that's in the middle of it. And I wish a Gordon Inman kind of person could live there and with fix up. They haven't.
Is it possible to one of those presentations, dimensional show how it's actually gonna look, or you just do the boxes? For
We
the
could if I had them designed. I know, but you
To let people understand.
scale.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because the scale's going to be
And they
completely different.
understand what that's gonna look like from the front, because when you drive up there now.
You can't
I
see
know
anything.
You're saying you can't see the house, but that's almost part of it. You go, there is something incredible here.
Wow.
And I would love to see from Boyd Mill, if you could do one of those where it actually shows what it would look like. A lot of the developers do that now.
I know, because they're like fancy. They have like real companies.
How much is the parcel in totality?
12.
12 acres.
So we have 50% green space.
Part of it's a lake.
Well, but I mean,
Just saying.
I'm just saying it's, you know, there's a big chunk of the green space around Magnolia Hall that's not changing one iota. Yeah.
I can't tell here. Are there any driveways coming from the 4 houses on the left of the screen going on the Boyd Mill?
Here,
Yeah.
they come in from the back.
Okay.
So they're alley fed from the back. So there's no driveways from here.
So are there houses across the street facing those?
Here?
Yeah.
No, these are all these old condos that are,
Old brick buildings.
yeah, these are these old, I guess they're condos.
They're combo. No, those are brick.
Are they?
There's one on-
Oh, yeah.
These are bricks and these are stucco.
So those houses face Boyd Mill.
These face, these
No, I'm
face,
talking about the one you're building.
More up and down.
these 4 face Boyd Mill, all the rest of these face, this one faces Magnolia Hall, these face this one, all those rest up there face this one.
Well, I'm, since this is a time to talk,
Yeah,
I'm just looking at those. I would suggest those space in.
they won't let us.
Well, just gonna talk.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Because you're gonna ask for modification standards anyway, and I feel like in this kind of thing, you can just go all out. I would encourage you to do that. I think that the top, there's 3 units. Let's see numbers are. 1, 2, 3. There's some way to get rid of that driveway. Yeah, those 3 up there. There's some way to get rid of that driveway or alley behind them. I would do that so that all of them face. All, so to speak.
So this is the driveway for this. This faces so this faces Magnolia Hall. These face the green space.
Well, if they had driveways that face the green space, like before, I was asking about, You've got three others up on the right that face the road. So people are more consistent.
Well, they're all consistent. I mean, they're all facing the same direction except for these.
Well, I'm thinking about, as a community, they're all facing into the road. All the driveways are, I think this is a better field.
I mean, if,
Last thing I'd say is 20 years ago, I designed Carlinville Manor on Franklin Road. Jamie, I can remember his last name.
Rose, yeah, Jamie.
Rose. Well, if you go over there, it's kind of what you're talking about, there's no sidewalks, there's no curb, there's a roll curb. And,
yeah, that was Ty Hasty.
yeah, no, well,
He had, yeah.
but I'm the one that came to Ty and said, let's do it this way.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to build myself up. It's the same thing you're trying to do here. And just say, they need to take some folks over there to see it from City Hall.
Well, we did.
Already done that?
Oh, God, I've been doing it for, yeah, no, I've been, I mean, you and I try to do a lot of the same things. And I know I'm not a real builder. You're a real builder. I'm just a, wannabe. But from an historic standpoint, incredible, by the way. And so, I hear you, but if I could go in that thing and it felt like Seaside in there where it was all rural and it was, by Seaside, I don't mean that kind of density. I mean, just where I didn't have hard surfaces anywhere in there, I'd love it.
Take a core group of people and start beating on City Hall.
I don't know how I can afford to, at this point, to do it. I've been beating the drum as long as I can beat the drum.
This whole process. So, up for modification standards, there's people to come in and speak for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
The two of us worked really hard to save the White House on 96 East, which had to have all kinds of different modifications. The one that Bill Powell just did over,
Which one is that?
it's the big White House.
We're going down to the park on the right.
Park.
Go out downtown to Highway 86.
So it is possible to get changes.
Oh,
So the design that you showed, that's what you're looking at. It's going to be party plank and red and all different types of design.
my intent is for Mike and I, if I can throw the I in there, because I really care about what things look like, is that we're going to design all 12 of these beforehand and create 12 unique things that are historically relevant to the house. And then we go through the historic zoning process, approval process, so that all of the elevations are approved before, so that the builders are building our plan. And then the people that buy it have the ability to be able to redo the inside, but the outside is exactly what we want.
How are the new ones of the property compared to the new one of Magnolia Hall?
Be a lot lower. I mean, the eve line of Magnolia Hall is giant high.
Well, you don't count that.
No, I'm talking about like, no, and Magnolia Hall it's off the ground. It's off the ground about 2 or 3 feet. And then the first floor is, I think those ceilings in there are 13 or 14 feet. Then you got 16, and in the upstairs, it's about 11 feet up there. So, I anticipate the first floors of these houses to not be squatty 9-foot ceilings. I think there'll be 11-foot ceilings, and then the top will probably be 10 feet. So I think there'll be 50. Oh, no. No, that would be a terrible thing. That is a great question. I told them earlier, I'm interested in, I'm gonna have probably 2 builders. I'm gonna probably have 2 builders and that are good people and can build great things. And I'm at a stage in my life where I think we all are, where don't want, if I don't want to go on a long car ride with you, I'm not interested in working with you. It's just too much trouble. Yeah, Damon.
Can you clarify again, has zoning been changed from R1 to PD?
No,
Or are you in the process?
we're in the process of, nothing's been changed. We're all figuring it out.
So if it remained in R1, you certainly could not have 12 homes.
No, I don't think so.
No.
How
Because
many
you
is
can't
it?
build on lot.
I mean,
R1 is one per acre.
so we could have 12 R1.
Yeah, yeah.
Technically 12, yeah, theoretically, one paper, you get 11 plus Magnolia Hall.
11 plus Magnolia Hall.
11 plus that.
Yeah.
So is that the reason for changing it, so you get 12 homes?
No, I think it's the PUD thing. I'll let Jason.
The PD zoning allows for us to ask for certain modifications of standards that we're going to be doing with all these nuances in the streets. You know, everything you see in here right now, the ellipse, the divided entry, the alley configuration. I mean, there's a laundry list of modification of standards that we're asking for, and that takes place through the PD process. Some of that can't be done during just a straight zoning.
We've been fighting so hard for this dual entrance because we're trying to get this width through the middle of this thing so that you can actually see through in here. And which originally, you know, we had this width, but the entrance was over here. And my friend John over there, he was really excited about that.
I'm really excited about the second.
What, this one?
Now, the one further down that mentioned might have to have that road.
Well, we're doing a modification standard that ain't gonna.
Staff,
Staff is supportive of
Maybe
it.
put a traffic light.
Staff is supportive.
staff is supportive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love round. We can do
Now,
round.
right now, it can be, have how many houses?
11.
11.
Plus Magnolia, so 12 total.
12 total, and you want 13?
12. 13 count, 13 count the house.
We're really negotiating over one.
Do what?
Negotiating over one.
Negotiating.
Yeah,
Are we negotiating?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
You're a negotiator. I'm not a negotiator.
All right. You're a bullshit.
No, I am not. I am a bullshitter. I am a bullshitter.
And that was a compliment. That was.
No,
I
yeah.
know, Bernie.
You know about recognizing, you know, they say about that, right?
Here's what I know. I don't know everybody in this room, but most of us know each other. We know these are all great people in this room. So fortunately, the good news is that we all would take a long car ride with each other.
You know,
We really would.
I hadn't even paid attention to what you all were saying. I mean, I paid attention, I hadn't thought.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, John.
Excuse me. I hadn't really thought about the concept of different types of roads, curves, and, you know, like in Williamsburg, if you do that, or even what they did at the eastern front of it.
Or Harlansdale.
Harlansdale, different
Of
road.
course, only at Harlansdale, probably only what, 80,000 people use that road, so this will get a lot more than that.
Yeah. And then of course, the development just south, just north of there is spectacular. I mean, I think it's maybe the best one in Franklin so far.
Which one?
The Harlansdale.
The project that.
I mean, today, to me, for a small development,
I had a lot in there.
I think that's the best development that we have so far.
And there's respectful of.
Yeah, using respectful of herself and using the property as it is, not part of any modification. It's just gorgeous. So, you know, if you did something like that
Right.
here,
I am for sidewalks. I am really for sidewalks, but I live in a neighborhood without sidewalks. Paul lives in a neighborhood without sidewalks. One size doesn't fit all.
so the last thing.
Amen.
Last thing, Glass Lane needs. Is the sidewalk. Somebody said, are you kidding me? Who would ever use it?
Well, see, they wanted us to do a sidewalk down here that would be a sidewalk to nowhere.
I get that. I
Well,
like
it would connect you to the schools across the street.
Well, you can't, but you can't do a sidewalk through here behind the pond.
only for the exit. Or
I
to go to
pick her up
school.
from school.
I mean, well.
Yeah.
Still.
Hey.
Nobody uses that road anyway, so you don't, you walk on my yard.
We don't have any
I
action.
should pick your flowers.
Hey.
Please do. I got some, I don't know what to do.
Hey, any other question? I hear every one of you and I'm listening. I do care what you think. And I know you know, I know that you think that. And I,
You'll get it, you'll get the money.
You will.
You really will. You'll get it.
Go big.
I just don't know what I would kill.
To Magnolia Ball, you go.
The what?
The one on the bottom, the one in the middle on the bottom?
Oh, the one on the middle, the one right in the middle, right next to Magnolia Ball,
Oh, on the
on the top, right?
on the east, on the west side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I don't think
get rid
that's a
of that
house.
section.
Where, this
Where are
one?
you talking?
That isn't the house.
No, go up, go up.
That
Go
one?
up.
Way,
Go up,
way up?
Go to the right.
That's not a house.
No, what is that thing right there?
Oh.
That's
H.
their-
There's a H. I can't read it.
Right here? Right here, that's the garage.
That's their
What's
garage.
next to it?
That's not a house.
Right here, that's their driveway.
No, that's not a house, Pam.
Okay, well, it's not green, so.
No,
From
listen,
here,
you-
it's like-
and listen, you just
I'm not doing anything there, crazy person.
Yes, I am.
Jason, could you enlarge upon the conversation with planning, or is there a regulation about those units that I asked about before on Boyd Mill? Do they have to face it because of a regulation or the staff? How's that go?
That's per zoning. We've been pushing staff respectfully as hard as we can. There are some things that we're being told they're a non-starter. Other things, we feel like there's some opportunity for some modifications and get some relief in some areas. And we're just pushing for as many as we can.
So the face at Boyd Mill is a non-starter.
Non-starter.
Backing up the Boyd Mill, backing up to Glass Lane is a non-starter.
But if that's why we're getting street parking, no. I mean, cause y'all don't live on the,
Is there street parking on?
yeah, they got street parking.
You say the front doors are gonna face Boyd Mill.
And I mean, y'all, you don't live on this street.
But
You
what we're
wouldn't park your
doing,
Car on Boyd Mill for anything, because you won't see it tomorrow. It'll be wet with the folks that fly up and down there.
well, this parallel parking right here.
Yeah,
No,
right.
We don't want
Yeah,
it.
we're not downtown.
Have you ever, can you should see me trying to pick up my mail on Boyd Mill, on my
You
mail.
gotta jump
I mean,
fast.
you have to be careful.
So,
So,
no, I mean,
That
those
ain't-
cars will not exist,
no,
you know.
I can't handle that. That's the danger.
And I mean, we were originally country out here. We don't want to look like everything, you know,
Yeah,
And I
that-
mean,
So if you could provide parking, elsewhere for that, I mean, first of all, no one's going.
Well, how's somebody gonna like the Amazon people gonna deliver to them? How do they deliver to y'all?
They pull
They
up
pull
and
up
they
and
jump
turn.
They go in the
out.
back door, mine pulls in my carport,
So they don't stop on the front?
and they never stop on.
What about just
Well,
pull
they
offs?
do for mine.
What?
Just pull offs, we do that in other developments.
You
where
can
we
do
just have a
that.
pull off.
But not parking.
Inside your community.
Yeah.
Well,
Just
for
reserved
those-
for
for
Amazon.
those out in front of,
You could put an Amazon Dropbox right there. I think
Drones. I will deliver with drones.
They're gonna do that. I do like what you all said. I don't have any idea.
Even though you weren't listening.
I was listening. I'm sorry. I was emailing two constituents that pissed me off.
Hey, is there another
They
question?
said if they start off, with it, you work for me.
John,
Hey, guys.
Just count the days, John.
Never mind.
Hey, guys, we got one more question, then I'm gonna let this be it. What's that?
It's just one final comment.
development, my concern is how the surrounding houses will blend in with the hall. If they look like service houses, then I think it will be far from perfect. How can these be more complementary?
What does that mean?
Surfs houses?
Service
Like a
houses.
surf, like a
Serving,
servant?
like
Like
serving
a
houses.
Like a lesser house.
Like
Serfs
the
houses.
medieval surf, is that what he's talking about? Medieval?
Oh, SCRF.
SU.
Well, I think the encouragement, I think my answer to the question would be, the encouragement is that every house that gets built in there is going to be approved through historic.
Yeah.
And so it's not going to be willy-nilly on what these houses look like. And so, and I can tell you, I care a lot about what they look like. And so it's harder, as Mary knows, for me to basically say, I'm going to design the elevations up front and go through the historic process myself. And I'm doing that because I want to know how they're all going to be beforehand. And so, anyway.
Respect what the color of the brick and try to.
That will happen. That will happen.
Yeah.
Our worry.
Yeah.
Our worry is
The
the number of houses.
Hey, 1,000%. I'm so thankful y'all came. It really means more to me that you came.
Go buy salt bricks, right?
I would if but it does. It really does mean a lot to me that you care about it. I know you care about it. It makes me want to dig in and do better because you care about it. It's part of why I continue to do this drill bit to the head and continue to do this stuff down here. There's only a few of us that are willing to do it. And it's because it's so hard, but you got to care about the end or you wouldn't do it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Were you there? Ernie was.
I was a cheerleader. Yeah, you were. My voice.
Thank you, Bernie.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, Bernie. And good